So, Monk. This is one of the first classes I made. It was one of the earlier reworks. It's been reworked several times since then to get it into like an optimal stage. It's still in a very good stage now. Some people were upset that it got a lot weaker, but even being weaker, it's one of the strongest single target DPSs in the game. And because of that, it's a very strong starting class. Since you're all single target, you don't do great in mobbing, but you can go to much stronger mobs and still mob effectively with much less gear. And also, the monk doesn't even really use their weapon, so the only thing you need on your weapon is stats. And I have this one because I made it ages ago. There are better options at this point. This one's just a pure stat stick. The minimum and maximum attack do not exist anymore. That whole stat has been removed from the game. Or it's been removed in the way that it works on gear. It still exists in other stats, just not on gear. It'll most likely be removed in a later patch on the item itself, so it'll only show the stats. Be aware of that. So my build is pretty much what it's been since I created this character. I made this character as my first character. I went and farmed up all of my other characters, and then... well, I farmed up to make my swordsman. And then after I made my swordsman, I used my swordsman to farm up for my archer, and I used my archer to farm up for my wizard. So that's the reason why he's kind of abandoned. He is missing so much potential damage on gear, even though he's in these rags. Like, the first armor set you're ever going to craft, the first gloves you're ever going to craft, the only thing that's somewhat decent is this bracelet, and then technically this is good as well, but it's not really good for him. It's okay for him. And then this is, again, it's not super great, but it is good for stats. And the monk is very stat hungry. You need everything. Like, I need another 100 levels just to get my int up and my con higher, I need more spirit. I need it all. I need dex so I can actually hit targets because the monk has pretty low base accuracy. The cleric itself has low base accuracy. And obviously you don't mainly scale on dex, so you're not going to get a bunch of free accuracy like the archer does. One thing that is worth noting, I should explain this, when you're in the monk stance, like obviously you function normally, but when you activate Awakening mode, which is attached to Iron Skin, which will have its name changed to Awakening later on, the original Iron Skin effect has been removed, and now it just puts you in your Awakening stance. In Awakening stance, you no longer use your weapon. You replace your weapon with unarmed attacks, and your main attack scales on strength, the weapon version of it. How best to explain this? This is... okay. So, obviously your stats scale based on your weapon type. Like, that's pretty simple. When you're unarmed, which is when you're in Awakening, you scale your stats on strength, con, dex, and spirit based on how high your monk level is. If you have 3 circle monk, spirit is almost as effective as strength, con, and dex. But spirit also gives you a lot of other things that you have to level it anyway, so it's still a secondary stat, but it's going to be your main stat on a cleric. Or at least on this particular cleric build. You can get away with lower spirit on other clerics and go high end. We're talking about monk today. Let's stay on top. So, that's just your weapon scaling. Your weapon itself has weapon attack. Obviously, you can see the stats of your weapon attack on your weapon, believe it or not. So, when you're unarmed, you do not use that physical attack mod anymore. Neither that nor the magic attack. Those just get completely ignored and they get replaced. So, the magic attack uses spirit to determine it. The physical attack, the main hand attack, uses strength, and the secondary attack, sub-attack, uses dex. And it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but like, just know that those stats get converted into your weapon multiplier. So that's why strength is so important on the monk. If you're a punching monk, you need as high of strength, not really as high of strength as you can get, but you need a lot of strength so that the multiplier while you were in Awakened is going to be effective. Now, other than that, all monk skills drain stamina when you use them, and the more stamina they drain, the stronger they get. And raising calm will raise your stamina. But that's not all. When you raise your stamina, it'll also cost you more SP to stay in your awakening stance. So you need enough SP so that you can stay in your awakening stance, so that you can get the damage bonus from your stamina, and then you can wait out the cooldown of awakening so that you can then get back into your awakening stance before you run out of SP and get kicked out of it. While also spending SP on skills here and there. Most of the monk skills are very cheap, so that won't really be a factor. And you don't really use a lot of them on Awakening. Outside of Awakening, like Flying Kick is a great mobbing tool if you're in a map that you can kill. I can't one-shot this map consistently with this gear. I should be able to if I leveled up Flying Kick, but my monk setup is purely for single target bossing. And one level in Energy Blast for the means. I'm just going to start charging that now. So, Energy Blast can charge up to 150. It takes a very long time to do that. If you do, you just blast an Energy Blast across the entire screen, across the entire map. It just keeps going. So, other than that, while I'm charging that, we'll go through Iron Skin is your Awakening stance. It's going to be changed to Awakening. You need to max it so that it costs less SP to use it, and also that it gives you a higher bonus. Flying Kick is a mobbing skill, hits an AoE wherever you target it, you jump wherever you target, and Energy Blast, we'll just go ahead and do that one now, shoots a giant beam of energy across the map and everything in front of you in a very wide margin. We just saw the outer limit of it. Will be dead. It's all dead. It also drains all of your SP. Once you start casting it, you cannot stop. The anti-magic mobs and elites can probably survive it, but not much else can, and if you geared for it and actually had int, it's a magic attack, by the way, then nothing would survive it. And we've got a volunteer right now, so I'm going to bring him over here. I'm also going to buff up on this guy. Divine Stigma requires you to kill a target that's marked. Be aware of that. Okay. Use my bubble. Finger flicking. Double punch. I don't need much power to kill the elites. I told you, this is a single target DPS class. I have so much more power in the tank other than just doing that. Like, that is a very basic, let's do some damage skill combo. This reduces their defense by 50%, or it reduces their strike defense by 50%. And it can go into the negative, and then this one is just a burst skill. You have... I don't have it on my bar right now for some reason. Normally you would use hand knife. There is an interaction for it, which I'm going to show real quick, because it is important if you're going to fully utilize the mobbing potential of the class. Now, realistically, I don't think most of you are, but if you want to, like, min-max, this combo is very effective. You have to put up Protection Field and then Karate Chop into it and hit targets that are under the effect of it, and it will deal big damage. Beyond that, Coin Flick or Finger Flicking now bounces between targets in a small radius based on your AoE ratio. I have the extra +2, so I have a little bit of bounces. It's decent. Nothing, like, you're not going to use that to mob with, but it is just nice to be able to get a couple extra hits on it sometimes. Now, the main reason you would use Hand Knife is this armor break. It is... I don't think it's a 40% chance, I think it's a 100% chance. But when you karate chop an enemy, you will reduce their defense by, like, all of it. I think it's just 100% defense reduction. It's only for 3 seconds, But for an optimal, like, super quick burst, you use Finger Flick, you use Karate Chop, and then you use Endless Attacks. And it'll last for the full duration of Endless Attacks, deal massive damage even on targets that are heavily physically resistant. So, now that that's out of the way, I can get to my usual rotation that I'm actually built for. So, 1-inch Punch, it's somewhat strong out of Awakening. I believe it's a little bit stronger than... It's hard to see because of that 1-inch Punch text replacing the damage text. So, like, without a crit, 120k, and without a crit, 85k. I think it was 84k, 83.9. So, yeah. It's a little bit stronger, it takes double the SP. The bleed debuff, if you're fighting somewhat strong enemies, you can stack both of them to get the bleeds on them and let the bleeds tick down for some extra damage while you focus on a different target. You're mainly only going to use this while in Awakening stance. Flying Sidekick, like I said, it's... If you're buffed up, if you have your crit, maybe I can one-shot these mobs out of Awakening. If I'm in Awakening, yeah, not even. If I'm in Awakening, it will one-shot. But outside Awakening, it's not very effective on anything remotely strong. If you level it up and you actually get some dex, it can be as strong as Palm Push or Palm Strike. But for my build, I only use it on low-level maps when I need to travel, or when I need to travel during the Bell skill, because you cannot move during the Bell skill, but you can kick out of it to get a little extra early movement speed. Like if you're on a boss fight and they're about to hit you, you can just kick out of the way. So it's a nifty tool to have for mobility, and it is one of your best low-level mobbing skills. Now, these are my bread and butter skills. These are what I'm going to use 90% of the time I'm playing this class. We just go ahead and activate Awakening stance. I'm built to stay in Awakening forever. And at this point, it takes a second for the actual stance bonus to trigger for some reason. But yeah, at this point, I'm just going to use the speed boost, and I'm going to run around and palm strike everything. Now we got a volunteer. One, Palm Strike has a knockback, which you can exploit that a lot in raids and whatnot by just knocking targets back endlessly. But I'm just going to finger flicking and then slowly refill my stamina. And boom, he's dead. Like, it's 1-inch punch while under your Awakening stance, takes all of your stamina, 90%, but it does a massive tick of damage. I believe that was 2.2 mil with a normal crit, and I can get, I think, grade 3 crits with my build currently. So it's very strong. Also, I have a little bit of sustain with my heal. I can also use my Paladin recovery to get my SP back a little bit. But yeah, the fact that you knock them down on every hit is, like I said, very exploitable. You can mob any map that they are not knockdown immune, and the damage on it is very high for my gear. If I had a boss to test on, I could show you the full burst, but I would kind of just need a very lucky elite spawn, which I cannot really rely on. Just gonna check and see if there's one alive. Doesn't look like it. There's a lot of loot elites. Well, I mean, that's kind of what I was looking for, but he's also a very strong elite for what I'm trying to do. I need to be stationary for a bit, and he's going to throw me around. I was going to use endless attacks there, but I failed. Alright, so bell, get my stamina back. So this elite is very strong to my... maybe get him alone. He's very strong to physical attacks, and he knocks back attackers, which I'm going to just kind of get around that by... Huh. He doesn't want to knock me back for some reason. Well, it makes my job easier. Normally, he would knock you back, but for some reason, I've been knocked back by a few of them while kind of testing out the class to get ready to make this video, and this one in particular is just not wanting knocked back. So, that will make this actually easier. I can do a full burst. So, here we go. If I could get these stupid mobs to stop running out of these rooms. So, activate my damage immunity. Activate Iron Skin. I should have refilled my stamina beforehand. It's on me. So, finger flicking, 1-inch punch. Oh, need to refill stamina. It's been a while. 1-inch punch, bell, 1-inch punch again. And then if it didn't die, I would do double punches. And then if it still didn't die, then I would either go straight into Endless, which will kill whatever you target with it. It does not matter. This is what I wanted, actually. I didn't see him in there. Alright, I'll show the whole thing again. I do need to get him away from his little brigade over here. He has such a long aura. I think there's a decent way to do this. Alright, that'll work. I can knock him down, I wasn't sure. Alright, you get out of the way. Damn it. You get out of the way again. Okay. Get away from your buddies. Stop protecting them. Alright, over here. Son of a... Are you kidding me? Of course, the altar. Okay. Get all the way away. All the way away. Okay. My arena is prepared. Okay, whatever. He gets to live. He's just gonna double my damage. Both of them are. It's good enough. So, this is your full boss burst. Activate this. Put down this. Once again, I should have, okay. 1-inch. Bell. 1-inch again. Double punch. He's running back to heal. 1-inch again. I'm targeting the wrong one. He is the perfect boss, or elite, to do this on, because he is very, very durable. Silence him again. I'm about to repeat the full thing. And this will be the one that I finish him on. Finger flicking. I don't know why I'm suddenly not taking damage or anything. I think the game is very broken right now. But it does give me a good opportunity to showcase. Alright. Yeah, that's probably why the mob wasn't knocking me back. It's probably got a positioning issue where I'm not actually standing where it seems like I'm standing. But the game is letting me hit targets, so... Server's just acting up a little bit. Either way, that's your burst rotation. That's how you're going to use it. It's very good. 36 million, like nothing. Even if I was, like, I can fully mitigate the damage normally. I was still acting like I was taking damage because I thought I was. But... unless it was Golden Bell. Let's see. Golden Bell might be bugged. Nope. I thought maybe Golden Bell was like never ending or something, but no, I'm still taking damage. It's just they're not dealing very much. I mean, what's my defense at? Yeah, I don't know why they're doing so low damage. Actually, no, he's not doing any damage at all. It's showing damage, but... Huh. I think it's this. Something wrong with Sanctuary? No, because I was dying when I had Sanctuary, so... Huh. Well, apparently there's some bug going on with the monk right now. Couldn't tell you what it is. Oh, well, now I'm taking damage. Oh, that... I must have got cancelled right when I did a endless attack, and it did not update correctly. I'll have to report that. It was when I was trying to endless over that wall, and I failed, and I started the animation. Apparently I entered endless mode, so I'm technically not on the arena anymore, and I just stayed in it forever. So that's a neat little exploit, actually. So that should be pretty easy to fix. You just have to make it so that if endless gets cancelled, not by itself. Like if it gets cancelled by running out of SP or the buff ending, it'll just automatically remove your untargetable status. So there you go. You can exploit that if you happen to get online and get your monk going in the next, like, 10 hours. Whenever Oz wakes up and I tell him, hey, monks can become immortal. But the DPS rotation is the same either way. But that was only making it so the mobs just could not actually register hits on me. And just to cover this one more time, because this is a more complicated class, even though it's relatively simple, this gives the enemy a 50% more strike damage taken debuff. This takes away all their defense. You don't need to do this unless the enemy has very high defense. There are times that you want to weave this into the rotation instead. This is your massive burst. It takes 90% of your stamina while you're in Awakening, and it does multiple millions of damage in a single hit. So, finger flicking, that's going to drop you down to 50% stamina. You're going to use your Z punch, your normal punch, to refill your stamina the first time, since you're only at 50%, so it's only like 4 punches to get back to full. Then you're going to 1-inch punch. That's going to drop you down to almost out of stamina. You're going to Golden Bell and immediately 1-inch punch again, because you just got all your stamina back. Then you're going to do like 1 Z punch, and then start your double punch, channel the full duration. And if the boss is near dead, like if you're almost done with the fight, you can finish it up. Just use your endless attacks while you still have the gold finger flick. And if you want to like be extra careful, punch a few more times and put hand knife on them, break their armor, and then use endless attacks. And very few bosses you're going to encounter will survive that, other than field bosses, and even then you're probably going to win top DPS with that rotation as is. If the boss is still very healthy, like if it's a field boss and it's only at like 70-60% left, you probably won't kill it with endless. So instead, if your SP is still fine, this depends on your build, you're going to just repeat the rotation of coin flick and then 1-inch punch, and just continuously refilling your stamina with Z punch and doing 1-inch punch as long as the debuff is up. And anytime Golden Bell is up, obviously double up the 1-inch punch. And if you want to like really min-max it, put in a palm strike once in a while. Basically do a 1-inch punch and then go into a palm strike to apply the bleed. Because the bleed is updated to scale with your awakened stance. It does a reasonable amount of damage. It will be additional DPS for very low time loss. It's a great build. It's a great bosser. It's very durable, like even when you're not invulnerable forever. Obviously, being invulnerable forever is it's pretty durable. But even without that bug, having heal, having safety zone, having stone skin, restoration, like you've got so many different tools to heal. If I had the extra points, I would probably end up getting Icarus as well and just leave it in the healing form. Turn off the Goddess of Fire, which I'm pretty sure you can do. Yeah, just turn that off and use this to heal as well for just a passive heal tick. You're going to be a absolute wall that does a ton of single target damage. And again, if you're willing to just kind of deal with the pain of melee, I didn't want to do that, but luckily it didn't update yet, so I had no negative. Like, you're perfectly suitable for mobbing. You actually don't even need Stigma on this map because they're so weak. And, like, it takes a little bit of upkeep to, like, keep all your buffs up, but you can very easily run around the whole map with the speed bonus, and... Oh, I'm out of stamina. Ring the bell. Do a kick. Slap some more. Very straightforward class. Very versatile class. If you want to, like, go a little crazy with your build, you can actually make, like, a really good non-awakening mobber with flying kick and very high dex. Use weapons that increase your dex further. Yeah. Very versatile class. Very complicated class. Very fun class. But with that, I'm going to leave you to it. Find a way to play it. There's so many options. You'll find something that works for you. Have fun. Later.